becomes a constituent school of Madison Campus Church, and the secondary program is under the conference umbrella, both really under the conference umbrella, but that is the split there. It was actually in the mid-'70s where we have some records of some historical conversations that happened about merging the two schools way back then. In the last decade, discussions have started and stopped several times due to leadership changes and I'm sure other reasons that were involved. And then in 2019, that school year, both boards agreed to form a joint task force to once again study the opportunity for integration into a PK-12 campus. To continue through the history here, kind of important date there in November. Oh, this laser works. Sweet. November 2020, both boards solidly voted on a 2-year agreement launching a pre-K to 12th grade educational continuum with our administrative team structure, our roundtable, which is currently how we're functioning right now up to this moment. And so in January, we began that journey. Some of the things listed there: after-school athletic program, initiated several shared staff positions. That number has grown, if I'm not wrong about that. Built internal relationships to help our schools move forward with confidence. The other big one that I want to point you to is that spring 2021 date. Schools requested joint accreditation through the conference, through the union, through the NAD, and they got approved at each level. That's important. And then from May till January of this calendar year, we've got focus groups comprised of board members, faculty, students, parents from our campus for that joint accreditation process. And on that point as well, I will say that all the information that you are seeing here, the conversations, the topics that will be discussed even afterwards, that has been shared with our students, and that's why I'm so happy that there's actually some of them here represented from the academy and from the elementary. They are well aware of what is happening, and I think we can do all the things that we want on our campus, but at the end of the day, they're the ones coming to school here, and it's their school. And so they've been heavily involved with the conversations involved with this topic. So, some of the documentation that I believe you received through email and maybe have seen before or have glanced through these are some of the quotes from accreditation team, people that came to visit our campus and do a full review of kind of who we are and some big-time recommendations. In blue, you will have the quotes there. From a systems approach, as part of a pre-K to 12 campus, the elementary academy will work cooperatively with Madison Academy, Campus Elementary, to best ensure shared values, strategic vision, sustainable viability through a PK to 12 grade campus Adventist education in Madison. In November, joint boards voted to continue collaboration with the admin team model that is currently being worked with right now. And in March of this year, the accreditation visiting team that was here for a full review of our entire program, recommendation number 5 on page 13 of that document, it's about 18 pages long, says that the board and administration make it a priority to implement the continuous school improvement plan that will yield a unified PK to 12 program. So we are not the only ones in this process. If you look to the column on the left, those are Adventist day schools that are our size and larger, that are using our PK to 12 model and have the name Academy at the end, which we will get to as we discuss what the name unification in that process is going to be like. Some of those programs have junior highs, but they all have some elementary, middle, high. Some even have childcare, La Sierra, Loma Linda. The row in the middle are elementary schools and junior academies, and there's more on available out there, but these are some of the ones that we found that don't go to 12th grade. They actually end at 8th or 10th, and they still use the word academy for their school. Matter of fact, one of the examples, I was talking about this with some friends. I have a buddy who's in New Mexico, pastors 4 different churches. Anyway, one of his churches out there has a K through 5 school, and they are an academy, and that's how they refer themselves. These are our Nashville area schools on the right that also have our PK to 12 model, and most of those, if not all of them, have that name Academy at the end. So this is not something that's new. We're not the only ones working on this. In terms of branding and logoing, these are just some of the examples of the schools that you saw on that list. We've got some amazing art people that are going to figure this out for us, way smarter than I am. I'm the last person you want drawing and trying to figure out what a logo looks like. But these are just some examples, but we just wanted to visualize what that, North Dallas Adventist Academy, Burton Adventist Academy, what that would look like. And as this process continues, we will have the smarter people and the more creative people work on this and make it look fantastic. So just some examples for you to look at there. Brent Baldwin, he's the head principal at Collegedale Academy. He was actually part of the accreditation visiting team that was here evaluating our entire campus. Collegedale went through this process not too long ago. If I'm not mistaken, it took them 4 to 5 years. Am I correct about that? Okay. So they have gone through this process as well, and this quote from him in the accreditation paperwork that he was a part of that team is big, and I think it's important. It says, while the process had its shares of ups and downs, which I think is very important, the finished product is being rounded into shape, and it is incredible. The synergy of working together for a common mission, building bridges across our K-12 campus, and supporting each other has been worth the time and the effort required. And this is coming from someone who has just finished going through that process and was here evaluating our program from pre-K all the way to 12th grade. So now we have the why. We kind of have these 5 buckets that we are dumping information into and our reasonings as to why even do this? Why have this conversation? What goes along with this? And so that first bucket there, if you see, is external communication. This is more of a clarity for general community members, including non-Adventists outside of our bubble. So when it comes to videos and brochures, when it comes to logoing, when it comes to merch, when it comes to our athletic program, all these little areas that are affected by our name and who we are and how we tell the story of Madison better, we will have a unified voice, and we don't have to say 8 words to describe or 10 words to describe what our campus is. We can say we are Madison Academy, or we can say whatever, right? And so for that unified voice and purpose, externally, it relaxes a lot of the questions that we get. I think it also allows our PK-12 administration, which is principals, business manager, and advancement director, to be on the same page about messaging. When we have conversations about things that need to go out into the community, how do we message that? Well, it's easier to say that when you only can do that once, and it's just one name, and we're one school with, of course, one story to tell. And I'm going to pass this on to Mr. G.
Thank you, Kelvin. I get to talk about internal customer service. And what I'd like to share with you is, as we're thinking about the why, I'm going to stick with my notes here. Currently, our schools are sending out two newsletters. One goes out on Monday and Wednesday. We have separate websites. Did you know we have 4 email accounts? That's right. We have 4 email accounts. The academy has 1, and the elementary school has 2, and a conference account. And we think, as we bring our schools' name together, that we'll be able to have 1 newsletter, 1 website, 1 email account. And we already see this being reflected in what we do here at our campus. We have 1 athletic department, 1 music department, 1 spiritual life program at our campus. We have 1 business manager and an accountant. We have 2 locations to pay for student fees and 2 separate accounting systems. Bringing our schools together and putting our name together, we believe we'll be able to achieve having the 1 business office with similar protocols and processes. Our school currently is using Fax RenWeb for our student information management. That means we have 2 separate school accounts under 1 kind of umbrella. And what we want is we want to be able to have 1 student information system under 1 school name. And I put a picture of a power strip up there because I had the idea of all of these different plugs plugging into 1 location and working together. We believe that this will improve overall efficiency, convenience, and customer service for our families. Next slide. When thinking about curriculum collaboration, there's a list here of curriculum mapping, Ben-Hur reference there. Professional growth, learning service, mentorship, celebration. Bringing our school's name together, beginning this process, it means that the teachers will be able to teach together, we'll be able to grow together, we'll learn together, we'll serve our community together, we'll guide each other along the way, and as an end result, we'll be able to celebrate together, which I think is a really great and wonderful thing for our church and our campus here in Madison.
Thank you. So continuing on that last bucket, resource consolidation. Jeff just talked about a few of those things, but shared systems, contract negotiations between our campus can become one because we're under one account. And so if somebody wants to do work on the elementary, they don't have to do an entirely brand new thing to just do work here. We're all just one school. You can do that through one contract. Maintenance and grounds team, enhancing time management, reducing redundancy, having to do multiple things multiple times because we are currently 8-9 different words if you describe our campus. Better flexibility and less burnout of personnel. It talked about the shared functions athletic program. Advancement team is working across both campuses with equal representation in there. Student support services and collaboration and leadership, which is already happening across our campuses, consolidating our resources under one name. Pastor Andrew has this slide.
Thank you. So, as we consider our culture and our mission, right, I want you to consider a conversation that my father just had with my 18-year-old brother who he is ready to send to the moon without a suit, right? So, there's a little bit of ungratefulness that is going on with my 18-year-old brother, and my father said, we spent blank amount of money to send you to this Adventist school. And because my brother is ready to leave, he said, well, you could have saved all that money and sent me to public school. Needless to say, the conversation did not go up from there, right? But it begs the question, why are we doing this? What is the point of all of this, if not to provide the best possible opportunity for our young people to have a growing relationship with Jesus, to learn how to treat one another with love, and to be prepared for service in this world and in the world to come, right? That should be above and beyond any other school spirit, school culture, anything we have. This should take always first priority. As we currently have it, I think that honestly, I've only been here a year, but these schools are great. They are wonderful. The teachers are awesome. They're fantastic. But we have certain things that I think are challenges. I'm working with a group of people at the church that includes teachers, students, pastors, and we have identified through current research that where we typically lose our young people is in that middle school age. At that point, things start to become irrelevant. We're talking early teens class, right? And you can understand in a K-8 situation how that can easily happen. I just spoke for the chapel for the week of prayer, and it was wonderful. It was great. We had a great time. I talked for about 5 to 10 minutes, and I shared different stories, but I had to keep in mind I'm talking to a first grader, and I'm talking to an 8th grader. And there's certain things I just cannot share because I have first and second graders listening. I just can't go there. Well, immediately when I was done, I walked across the way, or took my car. I didn't walk. I drove across the way to the chapel here that went on for about 40 minutes and talked about high school issues. That's quite a jump from 8th to 9th grade in content. And if we lose our students in 6th and 7th grade and they begin to believe and understand coming to chapel is irrelevant to what I'm going through in life, we are missing our entire mission of what we're trying to accomplish. Not to say that our teachers can't focus in their classes, and they do. But if we can create a better environment that follows the stages of faith and creates a system that outlives the personnel. And I think that's the important piece here, right? Currently, we have a system where we have hopeful collaboration, right? It's voted on by the boards, but it's still depending on personnel. And every time a new board comes in, every time a new principal comes in, we have to start all over again. And when we start all over again, who is it that suffers? It's the students. So we want to build a system, and this is what really sold me on this, a system that outlives us so that from kindergarten to 12th grade, there is personalized conversation and intentionality about the growth and development of faith for our students. It is a high priority. We are partnering at the church and doing this very similar model, thinking about these things as we consider early teens and youth classes. And finally, we need some bureaucracy reduction, right? Besides this coherent message, we cannot allow so much of this vote, this change, that thing, going through all these systems. We already have a nightmare to try to figure out and explain our system to people, right? What decision happens at the union? What decision happens at the conference? What decision? And we go down the list. It takes forever. Whenever we can do something that can align our mission with less reduction, it is our students and our faculty that benefit. And so these are the elements from a church perspective, from a pastoral perspective, of why I think that if we can have one team that comes together, and whether a new person comes in, it doesn't change the whole thing we got going on. I believe this is going to benefit our campus and cannot in any way hurt us in this model. And I think that is it for my slide. And next we have, I think, Calvin again.
So we've gone through the why a little bit, and here is the how. And I'm going to ask Ms. Fuentes to come and do these first two slides.
You can see that the job of doing the how is very difficult. It's a very big elephant to eat. So what I want to explain to you is that for the purposes of tonight, those first two items are not for discussion because they're not for vote. Because in order to solve the problems and the challenges and the opportunities of financial and governance, we require an additional set of steak knives and a lot of really good people with brains in the room to help us carve out the plan for finances and governance. But because we need to be super transparent with you, we're taking a minute to talk briefly about the finances. You should understand that our schools are funded differently, and if this is confusing, welcome. The funding structures really are not for our discussion. They are Southern Union policy. They are administered by Kentucky 10. This is how we do things. They fund high schools one way, they fund elementaries another way, and Collegedale's figured out a way to make that work, but that's not for discussion tonight. Another important thing is that you should understand some of the rumors that get floated around, that endowment funds that were given to the entities, Pine Car money that is an annual fundraiser done by the elementary school, or any other donation that's made to either of our schools are restricted by the donor. So if we say Pine Car is an elementary fundraiser, it is in perpetuity an elementary fundraiser. The reason that the Academy is comfortable doing the annual fund at the end of a calendar year with our letter campaign and all of those conversations that we have wrapped around that, and we're extending that into the elementary, is because we are trying to resolve some major projects that are related to both campuses, one of them being campus safety. So we decide that as a board. And then the accounting process, again, what we're currently doing is we have separate accounting platforms that we're operating from. The bank accounts are separated. You just have a business office doing both. There are other options. There are future options. We're just not discussing them tonight. Next slide. I want to explain to you that, again, with governance, the Kentucky-Tennessee Conference has oversight of all of their schools. They delegate some of those responsibilities to their elementary principals, their high school principals differently because of the structure of some of those entities, but the conference office owns them. They control personnel, funding, supervision, all those policies and rules. Our board role is to vote policy, to make good, sound financial decisions, to support the mission of the vision of the school with your time and your expertise and funding, and then hold the school administration responsible. That's the role of our boards, and that would be the same regardless. Possible futures, lots of different things that could be discussed in the future. You see the goals that we've articulated here is just to strengthen the school by embracing the roles. To merge the two constitutions, that work has already been started by the task force several years ago, and a little bit of work has already been done on that. We just pick that ball back up and start running with it. And then to align membership with the two boards would take a few years to maybe make that job, but that could be done with no loss of the current board members. We just roll people off and roll them on. Again, it requires a set of steak knives that we don't hold in our possession tonight. So these two slides are for clarity, not for vote.
Thank you. So structure and administration, if you look there, November 2020, this was voted on. The two principals with the roundtable school leadership, one administrative lead. It's how we're functioning at the moment. And in a little bit of what Jeff was talking about earlier, one of the recommendations from the Accreditation Visiting Committee, was to reconfigure to allow for the development of a distinct and natural middle school space. The proposal that they had there included the creation of a program distinct for our middle school kids. Pastor Andrew talked a little bit about that as well as kind of being that important age gap where we have to hit our kids with some intentional space. They are their own age. They're their own, they're grown-up kids. They're their own thing. And so that's part of the conversation as well. Mission and vision, this is where I think it gets really important. One unifying vision statement and marketing slogans for continuity, no matter where we go and no matter who walks on our campus. And so when I meet a family and they have a 7th grader, I could tell them, man, we have an amazing middle school program exactly tailored for your kid. Oh, there we go. There goes the clicker. And they have a 4th grader, and I can tell them the same thing about our elementary program. This is where my job kind of hits the rubber and being able to bridge. It's funny when I was in the conversations of coming back, somebody said that this position needed to be the bridge between our schools and the community. And when I think of what a bridge looks like between our schools and the community, I think of having one mission and one vision. Now, if you look there in that second paragraph or that second bullet point, the same mission can be expressed in 3 completely different ways, which is the beauty of what we do, right? So the elementary, magnify God, cultivate disciples, excel academically. The high school has seeker, scholar, servant, and the words there in front of it, inspired, empowered, and devoted. The middle school can be something new and beautiful. I don't know what that looks like, but it can be amazing, right? So this is where it hits me, because this is where you can help me do my job better and help me get out into the community in a way under one name, and we can just have a great one unifying vision for our community. Not only our community, but the community that sits outside of us and the non-Adventists that could be a part of what happens here on our campus. So we have some of the, well, why not? You have to talk about, and we can leave some of these for the discussion as well. These are some of the voiced concerns, I guess, that have been messaged to us. Some of those there, like I can knock out the first one, actually, and then the other 4 we can talk about later. But the misunderstanding of admin structure leading to a loss of principle, that has been something that has been brought up. That's not happening. I'm a little unsure where that started, but there's no principal losing anywhere. We are working in our admin roundtable model, and it is functioning as it is, and we love it how it is. That's not changing. And the other 3 there, there's this loss of individuality or importance, control between both entities, church school decision making versus conference control, and I guess, confusion over who would control then mission and vision of our school if we were to do this. This is the other part of what we are deciding this evening as a recommendation, our name unification to be Madison Academy. It has some inclusivity that is more than just a school for one church. We serve a community of churches, and I think that's the beautiful part about our campus is that, yes, we are connected to our church, Madison Campus Church, and we love our church and how we collaborate with them, but we extend our arms much further than here, and if we could extend them even further, how much better would that be to just do that under our name? We are modeling under schools, other schools who have success at becoming one under one name, and we are recommending a decision here to be made in order to be aggressive with our recruiting and marketing campaigns, because January and the new year will be here before we can blink. And so to be able to do that, this is why this conversation is happening today, so that when we kick off a new year and we go into February or whenever we start our marketing campaigns, we are determined and doing things intentionally, not only to just affect what marketing and slogans could be, but for our athletic program and our music programs, and make sure that all of our programs are headed in the same direction as we kick off a new school year. So, I think the last slide here is our, sorry.
So as promised, we are going to have a discussion time, but following protocol, we are going to call for the motion. If we get a second, we will go into discussion. And so I believe we have a motion, Calvin?
So here's our motion. We recommend to the Madison Campus Church Board to continue to organize our schools, Madison Campus Elementary and Madison Academy, using the previously voted admin roundtable, and to adopt the name Madison Academy High School, Middle School, and Elementary. Board governance and financial structure will remain unchanged at present and be addressed in a later phase.
Do I have a second? Second? Okay, so now it is time for discussion. And actually I want to invite the principals if you can come up. Pastor Nathan, if you can come up as well. And I believe we have our board. Kelly, if you can come up as well. Our board leaders up at the front. So if you want to address any questions to any one of these individuals, now is the time. Do we have any questions about this motion and what is going on with our schools?
I got a question.
Okay, yes, go ahead.
To the conference relationship to Madison Academy here in the motion, is this a request or a demand of the conference?
Is this a request or a demand from the conference? I believe this is not a demand from the conference in any way.
So this would be a request that we could do this.
So we would be making the request to the conference, not them making a request to us. Wonderful. Any other clarifications or questions that we have? Yes. We have a second for that one. Excellent. Excellent. Any other questions? Clarifications? Yes. All right. Who would like to address that question? Okay, good feedback. Yes. Double-edged sword there, I guess. So Christian being inclusive and descriptive. Okay. Yes. All right. Wonderful. Any other suggestions regarding the name? In essence, this is what the vote is regarding the name change. The rest of it was describing how we got to this point. But if you have questions on that as well, feel free. But any other, yes. Right. Absolutely. Excellent points. Yes. Okay. So what I'll do is I'll just say to those online, the comments that have been made is that we want to not limit our name to just Madison Academy, but we are wanting to add either the word Christian or Adventist or both to be descriptive and inclusive of who we are. It was also commented that that could also be a negative thing because sometimes when those names are in there, or Adventist name specifically, it can turn people off who have had a very poor experience. We also had a recommendation to merge the conference and the union, but I'm not sure if that is going to be accomplished tonight. All right. Okay.
All right. Now, we have the benefit of having our past board chair here, David Murphy. Can you think of any reason to, you have a lot of history in thinking of this. Is there any downside can you think of if you were to come together versus, let's say, there could be a strength in having the elementary by itself, a strength in Madison Academy by itself from a branding standpoint? Can you think of any downside? That's always a question I always have. No?
I love the presentation. I thought it was well done.
You didn't? Okay. All right.
He said he loved the presentation, thought it was well done, and there was nothing to add. All right. So, at this point in time, we have had some recommendations, some discussion. If I don't have any other questions, I'm going to ask Kelvin, who originally made the motion, if he wants to make any modifications to said motion. Okay. So, we have not had a modification, at which point we are going to be voting for this motion, as you see it presented. The way that this is going to be done is we have both board chairs here. Now, typical board etiquette dictates that the board chairs will not vote unless to break a tie. And that is the typical etiquette that is done. If you are a member of the Madison Campus Elementary Board, you will be taking a vote, and it will be tallied to be sent to the church. If you are part of the Madison Academy Board, you will be taking a vote that will be brought to the conference. And so that is how this is going to go. It is going to be a secret ballot. You're going to be passing, pens and paper will be passed out to you, at which point it will be brought in and then tallied. And so we are going to do that at this time.
Now, if somebody wants to call it Madison
they vote no. If they do not want it on this, the way that it is here, then they vote no. Even if they are okay with a name change, they're not okay with this name change. And another motion would come. Yeah. All right. Too late, sorry, too late. No, go ahead, yeah. I'm gonna ask Mr. G to answer that one. How do the teachers feel about this decision?
I don't know if I can completely speak for all the teachers, but I feel like overall our teachers at the elementary school are in favor of it. How about our students? We have some elementary students here.
They are learning.
Yeah.
They're here as learning spectators tonight. The 8th grade president, vice president are then going to turn around and share it with their middle school.
Ooh, that's cool.
Find out more.
Okay.
The students are here as spectators. They are not here to speak on these things. We love you.
Mascot names. Legends.
Just to let everybody know, I was the first graduate of Madison Academy. 1965. And I want everybody to know I don't believe in secret ballots. I want everybody to know I'm voting for it. Thank you.
And there you have it. Are you also wanting to? Okay. All right, so do we have all tallied? Okay, we have the tally here. Okay. Go ahead and come in. Unanimous, yes. Well, we have one more vote. Pastor Nathan, motion to adjourn. Second, we will table that until the tally is complete, as that motion is not complete. It is a 7-2 yes on the elementary side, and so both motions have passed, at which point now we are going to proceed to a town hall to explain the motion to the church and to the school and to the community, at which point the vote will go to the church board to be ratified. And a discussion will be had at the church board level. Same thing will happen at the conference. And these votes will be ratified. So what we did today, tomorrow we're not going to be advertising it and celebrating. What we did today was we made a recommendation to both of these boards, just so everyone knows and there's no confusion. We did not pass this officially. It must be ratified by both boards. Okay? All right. Are there any questions about the process? I'm sure there are many opinions about the process, but are there any questions about how it's going to go? At this point, I am going to see if we have a motion to adjourn. So moved. We have a second. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? If I was Pastor Daniel, I'd say go talk to Pastor Nathan. So, that is it. Thank you all for participating. And Academy Board, you are going to stay and have your board. Elementary Board, have a wonderful night.